Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Quick question for you all. Do you think businesses must rethink their path to trusted data as a foundation for digital transformation and growth? Now, the reason I ask this is Precisely and Corinium Global Intelligence recently ran an independent study of more than 300 C-level data executives throughout the US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And one of the biggest takeaways was 82% of chief data officers have data quality concerns. That's a big deal, isn't it? So today I've invited Dan Adams from Precisely onto the podcast to discuss some of the findings in the report in much more detail and also learn more about what exactly this means for businesses that are deep into their digital transformational journeys right now. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the east coast of the US, where Dan Adams is waiting to speak with us now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Dan. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I am responsible at Precisely for a combination of a few different things. One is to set our data content strategy and then convert that data content strategy into both an operational plan and a set of products that we build, data content products, that we then license to our customers to be used both in conjunction with our software or independent from our software in their environments to solve their business problems. That responsibility is essentially what I've done my entire career. Starting about 25 years ago at a small geocoding company in the US. That company was acquired by TeleAtlas. TeleAtlas was acquired by TomTom. And I've had a few other stops along the way, all of which has really been aimed at understanding the problems that companies are trying to solve with data, understanding how and where they need to bring in content to complete, or today we call it enrich, the data they're using within their operations, and then to use that data to make decisions aimed at better serving their customers, improving efficiency of their operations, or gaining insights into their business that they wouldn't have otherwise. And again, that's really been my career. It's what I'm responsible for at Precisely. And I would add at Precisely, one of the really exciting components of solving these problems is that I'm working hand in hand with our software teams to understand how we can utilize the combination of Precisely technology to better solve these problems for our clients.
And you have been on an incredible journey and a hugely successful 25-year career. But I'm going to take you back even further and ask you to share your origin story. Can you remember the moment where your passion for technology came from and how the worlds of technology and data collided for you and put you on this path?
Sure. Now, I spent the early part of my adulthood and college education believing that I was going to be a writer. So a very different track. And I graduated from university, got a job in technology, and realized that the room to be creative in the technology space was tremendous. And I had the opportunity for interviewing at this small geocoding company called GDT, Geographic Data Technology, and was offered a position there, sat down with the president a few weeks after I started and pitched to the president of the company an idea. And the following Monday, I was called into his office with my manager and told, okay, make it happen. And it was at that moment that I fell in love with the technology space, understanding that the room to use ideas and convert those ideas into action, and that those actions could benefit other businesses and their customers, was mind-blowing for me. And I feel like I kind of retake that journey of understanding that the opportunities are kind of limitless on an ongoing basis. As computing technology has evolved and on and on and on, the opportunities just become broader and broader. So the only regret that I have is that I'm not younger so that I could spend more years working on future problems.
Wow, what a great story. And of course, that path did lead you to Precisely, and we've mentioned it already, but it is a leader in data integrity. But for people that are hearing about it for the very first time, how would you introduce people listening to Precisely and what the kind of problems that you're solving with your technology for businesses?
Well, again, one of the things that I'm most excited about is the fact that Precisely's portfolio is as broad and deep as it is. And specifically, our products are aimed at helping companies access, transform, and manage data quality throughout their operations, and then enrich that data with trusted content to help them analyze and make business decisions. And what makes Precisely unique in this is really the idea of managing the various steps and components of ensuring that the data has, what we call integrity, right? That it can be accessed when it needs to be accessed, that its source is known, that the rules and governance of that data can be enforced, that quality can be improved, that the information can be enriched with information such as a geolocation, demographics, other contextual data. And through that entire process, the data can be trusted and accessed. And in combination, it's that set of actions that companies are attempting to execute. And in combination, that's really what and how I think of data integrity.
And the exponential growth of business data, coupled with advancements in things like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things, have all collectively unleashed an era of digital transformation across the globe. And we will have people listening all over the world. But can you expand on why data integrity is such an urgent business imperative now?
Well, data is being used to make decisions on a ever accelerating and increasing basis. And if the data doesn't have integrity, if it isn't something that you can trust, the data isn't something that you can trust in making those decisions, you're either going to ignore those decisions or you're going to be implementing information that may or may not be right. Now, that's very, very risky. In either case, you're either missing an opportunity to make your business more effective by using data to make decisions and move at the speed that your competitors are moving at, or that your customers expect you to move at, or some percentage of your decisions have error in them that could be avoided if the data that you were using was of higher quality, was fresher, met the criteria that you were setting for that data. Or in cases where it can't, you know that because you have the tooling and implementation in place to know the quality and state of your data. And that's as much data integrity as anything else, understanding whether or not the data that you are using is fit for purpose from the criteria that you set in place is also, having data integrity.
And one of the reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast today is precisely, and Corinium Global Intelligence recently ran an independent study. I think it was of over 300 C-level data executives throughout the US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And one of the biggest takeaways that I saw there was that 82% of chief data officers have data quality concerns. And we all know about the dangers of garbage in, garbage out. But so can you tell me a little bit more about the study and that standout stat there?
Yeah, well, I'll start by talking a bit about the study itself and kind of how precisely utilizes that type of information in setting our strategy and direction. In interviewing these 300 data professionals, what we're seeking to do is really understand the landscape and understand how and where our clients and the market as a whole are using data to make decisions and where their concerns are, so that we can set our goals, our product development priorities, et cetera, and helping them solve those problems. And to the stat that you pointed out, 82% of these professionals citing data quality as a concern, it really goes to the heart of the data integrity problem. If you don't believe and trust the data that you're using, you're going to be hesitant to use it to its maximum potential. So the other thing that occurs with that within that 82% is that companies are increasingly under pressure from a staffing standpoint and a throughput standpoint of using that data to improve their efficiency and having the professionals to do it. If they don't have the tooling, the software, the technology in place to better trust their data and make it more effective, they are either going to be in a situation where they're underutilizing that asset, that data as an asset to their business, or they're going to be hiring more people in to solve those problems. So a big part of what we're doing at Precisely is working to deliver technology and products that allow them to have more confidence in their data, so that they can use it more effectively and use it more efficiently, meaning the trust and quality they have in the data increases so that they can do more with the data without having to bring in more staff. Right? And that's a big part of the ongoing opportunity. When I said earlier, I'm so excited about the future of technology. One of the things that I spend a lot of time talking about with my colleagues at Precisely is how do we attack that 82%? How do we make the data more effective so that our customers can get more value more quickly? They can concentrate on innovating in their business and not having to deal with the overhead of cleansing and trusting and building in data integrity into their systems and processes.
And if we look through the report, were there any other big concerns around, or data quality concerns around, or what were keeping chief data officers awake at night? Is there anything else that stood out for you around their big concerns?
Well, there were a couple. One, because of the area of responsibility I have at Precisely around supplying enrichment data. The fact that the average number of external data sets that respondents were bringing in were 27 external data sets into their operations, and a peak of 90 different data sets by one of the respondents speaks to the fact that there is a tremendous amount of operational efficiency improvements in bringing in data that is interoperable with their current operations, meaning our customers' current operations, and those data sets being designed to work together isn't a one-time event. Every time there's an update of that data brought in, Data that is designed to work with the software and work with each other is going to have an operational impact on those businesses. And I think this is a tremendous opportunity, not just for Precisely, but for the suppliers of this enrichment content to bring some form of standardization or interoperability to those users that allow consumers of this content to get more value more quickly. And that's a big part of what we're looking to do at Precisely is work with our partners on the supply side, companies that we co-sell with, to look at ways that we can help our clients solve that problem. And I think that can change the stat that you mentioned earlier, so that executives feel more confident and capable in using data to make decisions more quickly, because there's less data left on the cutting room floor as you bring it into your operations and try to merge and dedupe and do all of the different things that are part of enriching content to make business decisions.
And I'm curious, this is a subject very close to your heart, and you're working right in the heart of the industry with it as well. Was there anything in the report that surprised you?
I think, the one thing that is most surprising is how consistent the level of effort that companies are expending in finding, cleansing, and preparing data to use within their operations. It's not only consistent across the respondents, but it's held pretty consistent over time in like surveys that I've read. So, this problem is one that is, as data departments grow, holding a stat at the levels that we've seen is actually becoming more expensive. Now, if you're spending 20% more on your data scientist, data engineering, and data analysis budget over 2 to 3 years, but you're holding at 40% of your time cleansing and preparing data, you're actually seeing a 20% increase in costs, right? And that is an area where I think Precisely is really focused on, when we talk about data integrity, how do we attack that number so that the return on investment in using data access, verify data quality tools, data governance, et cetera, that return on investment can be much bigger going forward than it has been in the past. Because we can attack that number and bring it down. And that's one that I'm personally very, very fixated on. As I've said, I've spent my career building data content products. That's a problem that for me is equally an operational headwind, right? The more efficient that we can get at bringing in the sources that we use to build our data content products, the better off we are. We're solving the same problem that our clients are. So it's one I know firsthand.
Love that. And of course, data-driven initiatives are fueling the accelerated need for trusted data, and industries, though, are advancing towards data integrity at very different paces. So how are you helping your customers turn challenges like that into opportunities? Because I know it's something that so many businesses are all going after right now, but what part do you play in helping them here?
Well, I think one of the most important aspects is the design of our data integrity suite is very modular. And it has been designed in a way that allows different clients that are different points on that data integrity journey and that transformation process to use various components of our product portfolio where they are, and then add various components as it makes sense as they go through that journey. So there's no this for us, the idea of managing data over integrity over time requires that it isn't a one size fits all approach, that our products really need to be designed to plug into the environment of our clients, ensure them that there's a migration path through that journey, that when they're ready, they will be able to evaluate and decide whether or not to bring in other components of our data integrity suite. And we expect that each of those components are going to, be judged and evaluated on the merits of the value they bring versus other options that those clients have. So it's very empowering for the client and the market to use that approach. It also holds us accountable for delivering value at every step along that journey. And that in turn forces our various product and technology teams to work with each other to say, how do we make the connection of this process or this function better for our clients by working together and designing those things in a way that will make sense in the market. Sometimes that's plugins to other technology platforms. Snowflake, as an example, we spend a tremendous amount of time thinking about for our customers that are going to be using or conducting operations in a Snowflake environment, how do we position our technology at the point of usage for them so that it's more effective and more efficient? That's as big a part of the data integrity journey. How do we migrate with each individual customer to help them achieve their goals and do it in a way that we can kind of scale that across various companies and industries?
And if we take everything that we've talked about and covered today, what do you think that means for businesses that are right in the middle of a digital transformation journey now, and that business leader listening? What do you think it all means for those people?
Well, one, know you're not alone, right? And that you don't have to invent every step yourselves. There are lots of companies and lots of resources out there that can help you design that journey, can help you understand what the success measures are for your business, and then how to go from where you are to where you need to be. And we always hope that Precisely will be one of those companies that you have a conversation with. But at the end of the day, it's a journey that every company is going through, at some point or being confronted with. And there are lots of lessons that have been learned out in the world. You can tap into those lessons, and certainly we're here to help you do that.
Well, I feel we've covered so much ground in a short amount of time there, from exponential growth of business data coupled with advancements in technology such as cloud computing, AI, Internet of Things, etc. And we started the podcast, though, talking about your origin story, how the worlds of technology and data collided for you. But I'm going to have a bit of fun with you now and ask you, what was the soundtrack to your career in tech? Is there a particular song that has inspired you or just helps you get your head in the zone if you're going to a big event or something like that? Is there a song and a story you can share with us? And we'll add that song to our Spotify playlist.
I think there are so many. I listen to music more than I watch television or look at screens. But I think, going back to the idea of where I started and kind of how a song that I always go back to, Stephen Stills' Treetop Flyer. If I could do one thing in my life that I can't do, I would play the acoustic guitar like Stephen Stills. And I think that's one of my favorite songs of his.
Fantastic choice. I'll get that on our Spotify playlist. And for anyone listening just wants to dig a little bit deeper on the subject that we've talked about, and of course Precisely and how to contact a member of your team, what's the best starting point for that?
Well, I think I always LinkedIn is a great place to connect and reach out. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. I haven't been posting much lately, but that is something that is on my 2022 plan. So I'll be getting much more active there. But certainly, I have many conversations that start there that have led to different types of opportunities on both sides of the equation, meaning I'm always happy to help people that are newer to the data business manage the landscape. As I mentioned before, lots of companies out there that have experienced. I've made a lot of mistakes in this business, and anytime I can help somebody avoid some of the mistakes I've made, I'm happy to do that. And I've had a few successes, and I'm always happy to share advice on how I got to where I am.
Excellent. Well, I'll add those links to the show notes so people can find you nice and easily. I'll also include a link to the report that we referenced as well there, and why businesses must rethink that path to trusted data as the foundation for digital transformation and growth. And I loved exploring those topics with you too, but not just that, also for sharing your very human story, your origin story, what put you on this path, how those worlds collided, etc., and a great song to finish with as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today, Dan, and share that with me.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for the thoughtful questions.
There were so many big takeaways from the report. And like I said, I will add the link to the report in the show notes so you can find it easily. But the fact that data teams spend 40% of their time cleaning and preparing data for analysis and upwards of 80% on reporting alone is also big news, along with the fact that 65% said staff will only trust insights from data if it confirms their gut feel. Good old-fashioned of confirmation bias there. So it's a great read. I urge you all to check it out. And then feedback. Let me know your questions, experiences, insights, how everything we've talked about today compares with what you're experiencing in your workplace. And if you'd like to come on the show, you can do that too. So questions, pictures, opinions, whatever it might be, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. So thank you so much to Dan Adams for coming on and sharing his story today, and even bigger thank you to each and every one of you located all over the world for tuning in, and I'll return again tomorrow. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.